Look, we're going to talk about the Great Reset.
You know what's funny? I didn't know we were talking about Great Reset until last night. I got sent the list of things, which is great. I actually brought you a bunch of Great Reset stuff.
Okay, perfect.
So we are simpatico.
Well, let's make sure that we're because people say
we're like two women in prison about to have a baby together.
Yes, exactly. Immaculate conception. And he shall be assigned unto thee.
Together.
So the Great Reset, New World Order, not just conspiracies. Look, is everything going on coincidences? Don't take our word for it. This is the terminology used by people in power.
The affirmative task we have now is to actually create a new world order.
We will be looking at what contact tracing looks like in the new world order. Yes, it will be pubs and clubs and other things if we have a positive case there.
This pandemic has provided an opportunity for a reset. This is our chance to accelerate our pre-pandemic efforts to reimagine economic systems that actually address global challenges like extreme poverty, inequality, and climate change.
So they're saying things like New World Order, this reset, why are they saying the quiet part out loud? What's changed right now?
Well, did you notice the new spending bill is called Build Back Better?
Yes.
And they all wear that rainbow swastika. It's a sun sign of the UN and Klaus Schwab. Bill Gates wears it, Klaus Schwab wears it. And Klaus Schwab was the head of the Bilderberg Group back when that was secret, and he was also the head of the UN Global Sustainability Board under UNESCO. And so he's written 4 books where he explains, he wrote a book a few years ago, he also wrote The Great Reset last year, saying we're going to use the fear of a virus to bring in a global system and a global medical vaccine passport that'll actually really be a carbon tax passport that tracks everything you do. And now MasterCard's come out, United's come out, and Kerry said last week, he goes, I don't care if governments don't pass carbon taxes. The corporations are implementing it now. So it's a global corporate tax on people to the corporations. And when you hear Build Back Better, that means post-industrial world, Agenda 2030, this is all official, abolish all the small businesses and then vertically integrate the economy. So it's a corporate fascist takeover using Marxist-Leninist ideology and a Cloward and Piven strategy to collapse civilization.
And that doesn't require any kind of a conspiracy. To be clear, we're not saying that Bill Gates is putting a tracking chip in your vaccine. We're not saying that's not a real. Of course, it's a real virus.
We're not saying he's not.
No, we're saying they're
creating an international.
It's a real virus, and they're taking advantage of something to use that to instill fear and control them.
Exactly.
And the results have decimated small businesses across this country.
It's what you were saying earlier when you were defending Joe Rogan, and that's what he was saying. He's not saying that they've killed millions of people in death camps yet.
No.
What he said is this is the lead up. You can't buy or sell unless you have a special license. You mark the people you want to target. And now, as of today, the CDC is calling people with an illegal national database. It's in the news, calling them at their house to say, you haven't been injected. Why is that? And so whatever happened to HIPAA, whatever happened to the Nuremberg Code, whatever happened to medical privacy, and if you look at Australia, the UK, New Zealand, Canada, and the EU, they're now announcing a thing called shielding. And that's where you, quote, lock down cities and areas completely, quote, so the healthy don't get it. And they're now proposing that and building and expanding these emergency
shielding
centers. Yeah,
okay, I just thought that was something that they put at the Golden Corral.
Here's the first document, operational considerations, February 11th, 2020. And then it goes in to talk about general population, how to lock down cities, how to put people in camps.
Well, look, that's one thing. Of course, they have locked down countries.
It says camp sector.
Well, there are camps in Australia right
movement
now.
Interactions.
Right. There are camps in Australia. One's only going to be completed in 2024. That's a pretty long timeline. What were you about to say there, Joe?
Well, Alex, I wanted to bring up, so I know that in 1990...
Camp sector level?
Yeah.
So in 1994, there was a national immunization survey where the CDC actually calls. We check the number. It's coming from the CDC, this phone call that they're asking about that. So there's a couple things that could be happening here. This could be that routine call that they've been doing this for literally over 2 decades, right?
Yeah.
Calling and talking to people, doing surveys to see how many people are immunized for measles, mumps, rubella, but they also do it for other breakouts that happen. So the question is, are they calling and asking questions about COVID that they're then taking that information, using a totally like normal thing that they've done, and then using that against people, or are they just gathering information? I think that's the point we don't
let me answer the
yet.
question. Yeah, they're building on older programs, but we also had 2 Supreme Court rulings. One of them, Jacobson, 100 years ago, that you could forcibly inject people, and that same court also said you could sterilize poor whites and blacks. And so the precedents they're using of forced inoculation are literally eugenics era And in the Nuremberg trial, the Nazis actually used what the U.S. and England did with forced sterilizations and forced inoculations.
And let me just be really clear, because YouTube just made this part. We are not saying that the COVID vaccine is forced sterilization. What we are talking about is the same with Planned Parenthood, Margaret Sanger, who supported eugenics and forced sterilization. We're talking about how that is something that has happened in the past. Not saying that's the current vaccine. But no, that's important to note. It is also something I'll bring up here, too, for Gerald. Do you notice a problem with what you just said? They've been doing it for decades, right?
Yeah.
But they've been asking about
being immunized.
Let's have someone from the research department bring up the definition of the vaccine. It does not refer to immunization. It refers to protection against COVID.
Because it's a gene therapy. So let's expand on that. What they're doing is building on top of all of this. So if you remember, what did Biden say 6 months ago? He said, in red areas and in areas that aren't highly vaccinated, we're going to send groups out to homes to canvass and to push for them to be and to try to take them there. Right. So people hear this now announced because they're expanding it. People have been called and then they're pushing it on them. And they go, that couldn't be. That's not American. But remember, Biden announced it and they have newscasts showing people, going to people's doors and saying, come on, we'll take you to get the shot right now. You really need it.
Right.
Paid for by the federal government.
Mr. Pfizer's neighborhood,
Through NGOs. So the answer is that is going on. So I see what I do is I don't just use one report. I'll have dozens of others, they're already going on under other names. And what I'm saying is the UN admits, Dr. Ryan, the head of Global Rapid Response, a year and a half ago, he said, we're going to have the shield in place proposal. It's going to be implemented by governments around the world. And we're going to go in and basically in the future under new lockdowns, actually go in and take people out of the homes who aren't even sick to take them to facilities, quote, for their protection. So they want that power to develop the camps. And at first it'll look reasonable. You'll go to the camp, you'll get out of the camp. It describes how you'll be taken to the camps in here, in this document I gave you, from cdc.gov for 6 months.
That's quite...
So remember Hillary said we need fun camps for men? Hey, try this. I got a leaked document.
Fun camps for men?
Wasn't that Epstein Island?
Search this.
Yes.
Search this with Infowars.com at the end. It'll still take you to the Army's website, but that's how you find it. Search Obama re-education camps. And remember, 2010, he secretly proposed re-education camps for Americans during a collapse. The Army got upset, leaked the document to me, and then 2 years later, they declassified it. So understand, this has been going on a while. They've been trying to secretly prepare.
Let me read this. Just so people can see this. I don't know if you can get a close-up here, Quarterback Garrett.
Give me a second.
Because we don't have these sources available. But this is, if you can look in that little URL, we'll make sure that we have it available on loudwithcrowder.com.
Yeah.
This is a CDC website. I just opened it up.
Copy of it.
Oh, okay. Well, people know.
I even highlighted it for, but hold that up.
You can hold it up here. So this is from the CDC website. I have it right here. And this is something that I just read in here. It does say, for this reason, the shielding approach suggests physically separating high-risk individuals from the general population to prioritize the use of the limited available resources and avoid implementing long-term containment measures among the general population.
That's a good thing.
That is absolutely terrifying. Again, we'll bring this up because this is cdc.gov/coronavirus 2019-NCOV. Okay.
2019.
I want to move on here.
By the way, we have documents from the IMF from 2018 calling it COVID-19 preparations.
Wow.
They've been, that's the next document. Operation Lockstep. Let's move on. Let's move on to Operation Lockstep, Stephen. This one right here from the Rockefeller Foundation, 2011, mask lockdowns, introducing an authoritarian world government takeover. Actually uses those words.
Wow. And that's from what year? 2018?
2011.
Oh, 11.
2011.
They started preparing in 2018.
This is from the Rockefeller?
Yeah. And they run the U.S.
It says Lockstep, a world of tighter top-down government control and more authoritarian leadership with limited innovation and growing citizen pushback.
That's just something for you to read later.
No, look, this is going to be good bathroom reading because I'll need something afterward to wipe. I don't mean as an insult to you, but I mean as an insult to Rockefeller.
Yeah. But remember, who runs the U.S. national strategy through Johns Hopkins? It's the Rockefeller Foundation. If you look it up, type in Rockefeller Foundation leads U.S. strategy in counting COVID. Build Back Better and the Great Reset is the corporate UN world government takeover in the Rockefeller Foundation's own words.
Right.
If you go to Klaus Schwab, who's the head of this whole thing, the head of the Davos Group, if you go to his own Wikipedia and then link through, I don't just trust Wikipedia, he says, we are going to capture all the governments of the world, voters will no longer matter, and only stakeholders from corporations in the UN will have authority. Then we can carry out depopulation. It's on the Wikipedia for Klaus Schwab. It's capturing nation states.
And I think this is all important to note. This is separate from the argument. We've talked with people, if you want to get the vaccine, get the vaccine. If you don't, I think you should have the right to not get the vaccine.
We're talking about the power grab.
We're talking about the freedom for people to make. In other words, all of this is a non-issue. Let's bring it to
and they don't
Donald
want to put
Trump.
a chip in you. They want the World ID medical passport to be in your phone or a card, and that's what tracks you.
Right,
and that's what controls
your phone. Already tracks everybody. You don't need a chip. Well, but to be clear, Donald Trump did, Operation Warp Speed, made sure that we had it's the Trump vaccine. However,
I think Trump fell into their trap. I think it's the worst.
Well, no, but hold on. The thing is, Donald Trump wasn't trying to force anyone. There's a big difference between making it available
you shouldn't be
and mandating, and that is the difference. It's not a problem with people having access or choosing to take the vaccine. It's a problem with mandating it, as we just saw on CNN right now, saying we need to consider mandating pregnant women, which is a concern for any medication. Just to be clear,
experimental.
You were about to say something.
My wife is in first trimester right now. We were
drinking every day,
every single night. No, but Alec, you brought up a good point. You said go and read these documents and check for yourself, because Reuters actually tried to come out and kind of quote unquote fact checked the shielding, saying it was actually just for like refugee camps, right? So I don't know if it was in response to this getting out on the media.
Only they don't put refugees in refugee camps.
That's what I'm saying. So here's the thing. Like, just be aware of some of the other articles that may come out and say, oh, no, this is totally fine. Just like this, 1994. We've been doing these calls since 1994. Nothing to see here, guys. Right?
Yes.
So just understand, we're giving you the context so that you can look at all of it. And
you also need to understand your rights. Look, all of this becomes a moot point if you are talking about you having the freedom to make your own choices.
Watch Louder with Crowder live, Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern.